CSS is important because I see it as like one of the fundamental layers of building for the web.
And ultimately it is the look and feel of any front-end project.
Hugely important language. It underpins the majority of the web.
It's the fastest way to style anything on the web. It's supported in every browser. It's a very powerful tool.
We had a bit of an idea last year. We thought, would folk be interested in the CSS conference? There seems to be lots of them popping up around the world. And so we thought, let's sort of test the waters, and we had about 100 odd people sign up to a newsletter, and we thought, there's interest, let's go for it. So here we are.
I think it's amazing that there's a conference that focuses on CSS from all perspectives, from design, from color theory, from applications in actual work, from generative art.
The thing is, there's been standard web conferences for a long time, okay? But they tend to be everything, and they tend to polarize into, I don't know, networking effects, or into security, or into semantic web, whatever. So the sort of stuff about actual browsers and things tends to get buried a bit. And there are people that really just want to know about that part.
My name is Natalia Shelburne. I am here from New York, and I am excited about all things CSS, and that's what brought me here. I'm doing a talk on color theory for people who code, and my past is actually doing fine arts and painting and brushes and canvases and things like that. And so it was actually a very natural transition to working with CSS. Instead of a paintbrush, I use code, and it's working on layouts and designs and creating an experience for my viewer.
Colours are important on the web because different colours determine different emotions and how people feel about using the websites.
I really loved the last talk we just saw on color theory, and I'm really curious to see how I can mix the concepts and the ideas that were presented with the kind of things that I do, and create sort of a system or software for color theory and color palette generation. It was really inspiring. So my talk was about generative art with CSS and how to use features like CSS attributes, calculations, variables to create a bridge between JavaScript and CSS, and how to use that bridge to both do serious things for real products, but also how to create more visually appealing experiences and generative art. So I'm a big fan of creative coding, and I always try to explore the more creative use cases, I'd say, of the technologies that I learn and that I use in my application work.
My talk was about the challenges that you would face designing a library with Sass and how you would get around them and provide a good experience for people that use it. Is one that I saw from the Sass MQ. I really liked the talk an A to Z of CSS. I thought that was really interesting. I learned so many new things in such a short time from that talk.
I was actually really interested in the refactoring talk. It was interesting to see how that team dealt with such a big project and managed to optimize so many different assets for the web.
And we sorted the colors and introduced a new color.
How they tackled a large-scale refactor of CSS at Trivago was interesting. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. Having been at Fangio for 4 years, I know the pitfalls there. I put a significant amount of code there. I should probably clean it up at some point.
Yesterday we had CSS classes at Codebase, and we had people who came along, and it's people who were just beginning to learn about CSS to people who knew quite a lot about it.
Well, today is the CSS workshop. There's a couple of nice tutorials, a couple of nice examples, and things for them to just basically experiment with and get their code hands dirty, as it were.
So we're basically taking people from zero to, let's build a website or a small bit of one, certainly.
I don't have a clue about CSS or building websites or any of this stuff, but I was really attracted by the idea of the masterclass today, so I was very pleased to get a place on it.
It starts out introducing you to specific concepts. So there's like a Polaroid that gives you box shadows and offsets, and working with images and working essentially replicating a Polaroid picture in pure HTML and CSS. And then that moves through into animations and keyframes with simulating a one-planet galaxy, or like a one planet orbiting a star?
Yes, at the moment I'm making doing this exercise which is kind of orbiting planet, which we've got kind of half there, but the physics is a bit out of whack, so I'm trying to get it to orbit smoothly.
It's not always conference attendees, it's usually open to the public, so we're able to bring people in who wouldn't otherwise be involved in tech or in the conferences or in the event, and just bring them along and kind of show them a bit of how the web works.
Everything's aimed at newbies, or newbies can come in, join in, and any level of ability is welcome.
The tutors have been super helpful, even with my absolute sort of novice state, so it's been great.
I work for a software development company, but I focus on CSS, HTML and front end. So I've been to a couple conferences before, but I thought one that was pretty focused on CSS might be valuable.
One of the things that sets it apart is the discussion track, and that's something I'm really excited about. Just the opportunity to ask questions in a facilitated discussion atmosphere. I like that a lot, because sometimes in conferences you get this, I'm at a podium and you're sitting there, kind of just one-way communication going. I learn as much from questions and from talking to people. The facilitation of a nice discussion track seems really exciting to me.
I really enjoyed being part of the discussion track. It's something I'd like to see more conferences start to adopt. A really nice way of having that QA session fairly informally, but more of a dialogue than a monologue. That's been one of the standout points for me today. It really kind of brings the community together, which is already really good around this conference.
And it's people sharing their experiences, how do you refactor an enormous code base, all this sort of stuff. That is really good, it's really valuable, and it gets people talking to each other, and it forms local communities and national communities as well as, everyone's online, right, but it's not the same as meeting people and talking to them.
I'm here to learn more about what other people are doing and see if the ideas I've got about CSS are on the right track.
As sites get more complicated in their functionality or what they need to provide, as performance becomes more important, as products become more digitized and web-based, the entire stack needs attention, but CSS is a traditionally very simple language. Conferences like we've had today just train people or teach people the importance of writing good quality CSS so that it's not a simple language becoming an expensive bottleneck. It's really kind of coming of age, and it's really great to be a part of it.
I think it's great. We've specified a lot with JavaScript and CSS because that is what the users see and what the users interact with on the page. It's important that we talk about those kinds of things and how we can improve it, and technologies that we can build upon, and just genuinely make things a better experience for the users.
People who use CSS in very different aspects of their life, and we're able to come together and talk about it and share ideas. And it's the first, but I'm sure it's going to be running for many more years. It was an absolute pleasure.